says 9:02.
It says
All right,
10 minutes till.
we call this meeting to order. It's 9 a.m.
No, it isn't.
September 30th of 2021, Policy and Procedure Committee meeting. Call the roll, please.
Sure.
Yep.
Alt,
Here.
Barr,
Here.
Barons,
Here.
Awful.
Yeah, I think you.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Hall, seconded by
Second.
Mrs. Awful. Any questions or comments regarding the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next are public comments. Do we have any public comments this morning?
Yeah, I do. I've never done it for the county, so what do you gotta do?
Can you come up over here so we can see you, please?
Stand and face your name.
I can't hear very well either.
Okay, I'm Ricky Grosvenor, I'm the mayor of Woodland. I'm here to talk to you guys in regards to trying to get the alcohol passed on the, next election there, put on the referendum. Or, see if we can get alcohol in Belmont Township. That'd be 1, 2, and 3, all districts of it. Or precincts, I guess they call it. And figured the county ought to know about it, because or Dan Walber, he lives outside of Woodland there, but he's in Iroquois County. I figured better come talk to you guys and see if you guys have any recommendations.
Okay. What are we recommending for?
I'm trying to get the alcohol on the ballot.
Okay.
Do you have anybody in the township serving it now, or
Uh,
who is serving?
Belmont's already okay to helping out. City of Watsika said they'd help out on attorney fees there, but they're waiting on an attorney to check out, make sure they don't need to do anything special, like any kind of special meetings or anything for it. I have a couple other people there willing to donate, kick in towards the attorney fees and stuff like that. American Legion, I'm waiting on them to give me their final okay as far as them, helping support it. There's a few other people I haven't got a chance to talk to yet, and you guys are one of them. So I wanted to come talk to you guys while I had a chance.
I guess I don't completely understand why you want alcohol on the ballot.
Yeah,
It's a dry township.
It's a dry township.
Okay.
Do you have any facilities?
So it's up to your
Yeah, we
township.
have Stone Cold Motorcycle Club there in Woodland, like to start a bar. And Dan Walver, outside of Woodland there on the south end there, he's in Iroquois County. He's wanting to tear a building down and build a new building and have a retail shop in there and a place to serve alcohol too.
So,
So it's a referendum on the ballot for your township only.
Yeah.
Right, so Ricky's here based on his attorney telling him that he needs to go to all of the entities that this could possibly affect. And he's also just letting you know that there are places outside of Woodland that are interested in possibly building or bringing a business that would be in county jurisdiction. So he wants to make you guys aware that if this is on the ballot, then this is something in the future that is going to be asked by the county board for, say, a conditional use for a parcel or something like that. So he's,
I understand that, and
Yeah.
that's fine. We've gone through that process already.
right, but he's just here to
I just wanted to.
inform and look for support, right?
What will be around town in that township?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What specifically do we need to do to support it? Do we need to pass a resolution? Do we need to just say we're gonna support it, or what?
Right now, no, the county board really doesn't have any authority over passage of a referendum or anything like that. The way it appears but the statute is the Liquor Control Act of 1934, so the wording is a little older than I am, and it's kind of convoluted. But it appears it's going to have to be a referendum where petitions are gonna have to be circulated and signed by 25% of the population in Belmont Township in order to get it on the ballot. And then the question that goes on the ballot is asking if prohibition should remain. So when it's on the ballot, it needs to be promoted so people know how to vote, because if you vote yes on that, then you're voting for prohibition of alcohol, which is what you're trying to avoid. But the wording is very specific on how it has to be presented. Anyway, the city of Watseka, because they're home rule, they should be able to pass an ordinance that would allow the sale on their side of, or what encompasses Belmont Township in their incorporated city limits. But it's something that their attorneys are reading up on and looking into to see what they have to do, like you said, to see if they have to have special meetings and that sort of thing. So anyway, right now it's probably going to be a referendum, but your attorney is still looking into that, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do we show our support then?
I guess,
Maybe as a committee, we should.
Yeah.
well, right, I mean, the county, you can support it, like, I mean, I guess I,
Individually, you can do anything.
right, like personally support it, just if anyone asks, this is what's going on, just to keep you guys informed on what the question is about, why it's coming about, and what they're trying to do.
And I guess just a suggestion, when it comes closer to the election and you're advertising, apparently that's why you're wanting funds, is to do some advertising.
No, we're gonna, just needing the funds there to offset the attorney fees. So everybody, right now I got, Watseka said they're okay to help them pitch in on the attorney fees. I got Belmont Township, they said they're okay to it. Dan Walworth, okay to pitch it in. Stone Cold Motorcycle Club in Woodland, they want to pitch in. My trucking company, and I'm working on a couple others yet. I'm hoping to get it down close to $100 a person. We can get it away with it. The attorney said 4 to 5 hours at $200 an hour.
Well, when it gets to where, at some point, there may be a fight over it, and if there is, then you could individually ask and have a list of these people support it, rather than the whole committee.
I think it'd be a great way for the county to make some more money, and between sales tax and all the other stuff there. I'm sure who issues the permits for alcohol. Does the county do that?
Depends on if it's in the city of Watseka, they will. If it's outside of the city of Watseka, we will.
Okay, so it'd be you guys then.
Well, anything in the rural areas.
Right.
If it's inside the city limits of Woodland,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah,
involved there.
incorporated versus unincorporated, I guess would be the way to.
Right. So I just wanted to bring it to you guys' attention and let you all know what's going on. And hopefully
I think
get-
we needed to know too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
more people know about it, the better. I'd look at it. And
Yep, I think we all agree with you there.
Keep everybody on top of what's going on. This way we all know.
Okay,
So, hopefully the county can make some money, and everybody else makes some money out of this deal, and hopefully turn out for everybody.
if you know ways we can help, don't hesitate to come back.
Okay.
You have one place now that would be selling, and that's the American Legion.
American Legion is on track. He's gonna let me know how. Or Lyle told me Monday night when I walked out of the Watseka meeting. I think it was Monday night or Tuesday night. Can't remember, this week's went so fast I can't keep track of it. I think it was Tuesday night. When I walked out of that meeting, I called Lyle at home there and talked to him a little bit. He said he has a meeting coming up, next week there with the American Legion members. And he's gonna run it by them and see what they wanna do.
Mhm.
If they're, most of the guys I've talked to would like to see alcohol in the American Legion down there, so, you know, they got, you know, a way of making revenue,
Yeah.
which I think would be great.
Do we have any other townships in the county this way?
That are dry, yes, there
Sure.
are several that are dry.
Sound Creek?
Yeah, Fountain Creek,
Ash Grove.
Yep.
Off the top of my head. Concord and Sheldon are dry, except the village of Iroquois and the village of Sheldon allow the sale of alcohol, so their unincorporated areas are dry. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Maybe Prairie Green and Scotland might be.
Sorry.
But off the top of my head, I can't remember the other ones, but Belmont is one that is. And Ricky, when did we determine that question was on the ballot for the Village of Woodland? Was that in the 90s?
93 or 7.
Okay, so in the 90s, the Village of Woodland had put the question on the ballot and it did fail. It wasn't by a tremendous amount, but it's
think-
something that,
The way they had it worded, they're, was really misleading.
right, and that's the problem is because it has to be worded that way. So it has to be worded asking if you want to keep prohibition in place, basically. And statute requires it to be worded that way. So it's going to be if it's going to pass, people need to know they need to vote no if they want it to pass. Otherwise, it will remain in place.
Yes,
So
hopefully.
it's one of those things that he just wanted to make sure everyone, based on what his attorney had asked, make sure that he talked to every entity that would be involved.
So if you guys know anybody else besides Belmont and, City of Watsega and you guys, I don't know who else I really need to talk to as far as making sure everybody's aware of it. Cause the county borders the south side of Woodland, Watsega borders from Mulberry Street south, and then,
Does Belmont Acres have a homeowners association?
I don't know.
I thought they did.
I mean, if they do, that'd be certainly a place to go
I thought they
talk.
did at one
They
point
might,
in
they
time.
might
Maybe
have,
it's
because they had their own
disbanded.
waters, they might have had, they had to have some.
They did at one point in time, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it's still around
Yeah.
or not.
I can check into it.
That's something I can maybe find out for you, Ricky, if you want.
Okay.
You know.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Well, if I can help you guys in any other ways, let me know.
Okay,
Okay.
But I just thought, you know, at least we're trying to make, you know, I would like to see some kind of gas station, you know, come through Woodland area. We've got enough traffic to support it, they figured out back in the 90s. So if they had enough traffic then, I'm hoping I can start Casey's into building something.
Well, we're definitely for growth in this county, so.
Well, we need between the employees, you know, we need employers and we need some place for people to work, so you can pay their bills. And I think everything we can do to help that is, well, we're trying.
okay.
I appreciate you guys' time there and hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, Ricky.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committee chair reports. We'll start off with Mr. Barnes on the management committee and the judicial committee.
Management, we're gonna talk about dogs.
Good.
Sorry, Barb, I know that's usually your thing. Isn't it helpful?
We were gonna talk about the dog housing, and
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about the dog
Okay.
leasing and recording.
And we're also gonna talk about toys and playground stuff. And then there's, I've been in contact with Walker Farms. They're supposed to let me know when the field is done so that we can get the testing company in there. Other than that, I think that's it for management. Judicial is just gonna be regular reports.
As far as the dogs are concerned, you don't know, you probably need to know that we have arranged for some temporary facilities to house the dogs here in Waseca.
Okay.
So just moving forward with that. But hopefully we don't want to continue it any longer than necessary. Because it involves an expense. And
Right.
it's not an ideal situation, but it is something we can make work. So that's what we're gonna do.
Are you dropping the idea of looking for another location, stuff like that?
Another location to house the dogs temporarily.
I mean, permanently,
Well, permanently, we're talking about building our own facility.
still going along is what I'm asking. With that,
We are, that is one of the things we'll be
Okay.
discussing.
I think that's the direction we need to pursue. Okay, Mr. Bard?
Well, the department heads will be making their usual reports, and we have in the planning and zoning, we have a request for waiver and for what is it, variance, and someone putting up a place to sell beef over, I guess it's right on the south side of the golf course. So we'll be voting on that.
Okay, that was from the ZBA meeting the other day?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Waffle, Health?
We're gonna have our regular reports for that, and then probably speak on the animal control issue.
Okay. Mr. Alt, Highway and Finance.
Mr. Moore is here, he'll give a report.
What about finance? You can talk about finance?
I don't know anything about finance.
You don't know anything about finance? I have some things to put on the agenda for the finance committee meeting.
Have you spoke to the chairman?
I'm speaking to the vice chairman.
I know you are that.
We can't talk about this.
Have you scheduled a meeting with the finance committee to discuss it, or what?
No, I don't need to. I can put anything on the agenda.
Go ahead and put it on, you don't ask me, you can just,
I'm just letting you know I'm putting some things on the agenda.
I can't wait.
All right, Mr. Moore.
Just the regular claims. I will actually, Doug will be running the meeting because I'll be at our first Illinois Association of County Engineers meeting in 2 years, so.
Okay, we'll move on to chairman comments. I guess the main thing I wanted to mention today was that last night in Gilman, I think we reached some agreement tentatively anyway about a contract for law enforcement over there. We'll be presenting the details to the finance committee meeting next week from today, as well as a proposal to purchase the police equipment from the city of Gilman. So it'll be two separate ideas or transactions. Okay, Mr. EMA is not with us today, I guess, so we'll move on to a discussion and action on the meeting and holiday schedule for fiscal year 2022. You have a copy in front of you. I guess we could start out with the holidays.
I assume these are all the holidays that are in the union contract.
I believe that's correct. These are the holidays we observe every year, with the exception of the one you see right in the middle called Juneteenth.
Yeah.
The way I understand the law has been written, Juneteenth is not occur this year. However, our circuit court has said otherwise, and so they're gonna close down that day. So that's why it says that the circuit clerk's office, state's attorney, sheriff, the courts and probations will be closed that day. The rest will be open. So that's on June 20th. So everything else is pretty well standard as far as, you know, the way everything goes every year, so. I guess we can entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second,
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, would you call the roll, please?
Sure.
Here.
Barron,
Yeah.
Alt,
Yes.
Barth,
yes,
Alpert.
Okay, on the back side of that same piece of paper, it talks about the Iroquois County Board meeting. I think all of these are pretty well self-explanatory. Meeting on the second Tuesday of the month at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Why is November different?
Because November 8th is the general election day.
November 8th is what?
General election day, and all the offices are closed,
You just approved that.
except mine.
You just approved the closing of the building on
That
that.
doesn't mean we can't have a meeting.
Yes, it
Just 'cause the
does.
building's closed.
You will not have a clerk here.
We could have it at some other place, and nobody knows where we're at.
You know what town some other place is located in?
Over by there.
Okay, so the only other issue with that, at the last board meeting, there was a county board member that brought up the idea of meeting at night. We have in front of us a proposal to meet in the daytime for the coming year. And I guess that board member didn't choose to come here today and talk with us about this, so I'm not sure how serious that request is.
Probably because he couldn't come during the day.
Well,
he doesn't show up for
I don't think it's
committee
in the,
meetings.
I don't think it's in the best interest of the county to have meetings tailored around one individual's schedule.
Yeah, went through that once before.
So, but I just wanna point out that, you know,
I mean, I'm not opposed to this here, but isn't it normally said after the chairman is established after the reorganization?
No, this has to be done by a certain date. right?
Was it?
There isn't reorganization this year.
reorganization doesn't occur till the end of this coming year.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Elections
Near the end
next
of
year.
this year, which is the start.
The end of the year we're talking about, in 2022.
Yeah, I know.
December 5th.
That's when the reorganization takes place, at the end of that year.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry.
We're talking about everything up until that point.
Okay, in other words, they can change this at a later time if they so desire. Before we start the new year.
Well, you can change something, I suppose, anytime you want, but we're talking about a resolution to establish.
Well, I was told that once established for the new year, it has to stay for a full year.
Correct.
But I don't wanna disagree with that, but cause I think that's probably a good policy to follow, but I imagine if somebody wanted to pursue it hard enough, they probably could come up with a way to do it.
Well, once it's established, isn't it supposed to, there would have to be.
Then there's publication,
Right.
requirements if we're going to change the,
Otherwise, it's in
time.
violation of the Open Meetings Act, right?
right, like this has to be approved before the end of the year. So, I mean, there's time to wait if there's going to be discussion on changing the times, but you're approving for 2022, and there is no reorganization at the end of this year,
Yeah.
so we don't have to
Right.
worry about a
Okay,
new
I'll take it back.
chairman coming in and everything like that in December.
Quit laughing at me.
So if we wanna change the time to 8:45 AM.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you.
Yes, if you wanted to do that, you could change it to whatever time you wanted, Lyle.
That's all, and what she's saying is all I was referring to, that yes, it's possible, if you wanna jump through the hoops, it's possible to change these times later on, but normally you wouldn't do that unless there was a pretty good reason to do it. It's my opinion, we're not serving the county if we tailor the meeting time to suit one individual's schedule. So, in any case, unless there's any further discussion, we can entertain a motion to approve this schedule.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is awful second. You call the roll, please, Lisa.
Don't look at me for everything.
Sure,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes,
Barr,
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Okay, next we're looking for an update on the sexual harassment training situation.
We are at an 83% completion, which is a percent higher than the last time. Yay! I'm gonna send out updates and follow-ups today for those that have not completed it. Online is always open. If no access to computer, more welcome to come do it in my office. We can set up in-person training, several different options available, so
And we still have some board members that have not taken
We
the
do.
training.
we do.
What are the numbers that have trained and have yet to train rather than percentage? Off the top of your head.
We have 100, I believe it was 165 total, and out of that 165 total, we have 100, and these are rough numbers because I don't quite remember, 139 have completed it.
Okay, that'd be about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we see what we can do to keep moving along with that. Moving along, Mr. Drury is here with us today to help us to complete our review on the personnel policy manual. I believe last time we left off with page 121, so we'll be starting with page 122 today.
Your committeemen did not bring theirs.
I have some notes. Page 122 is the smoking and tobacco product use policy. I don't have anything on that one. Does anyone else? Is that okay the way it's written? Very good. Page 123. Under policy, item number B, says solicitation, distribution of literature, or trespassing by non-employees is prohibited. Why is the word trespassing in there? I don't see that it's relevant to that policy, and I don't know that we prohibit trespassing.
So, just the word trespassing means you're there without permission, so yeah, we would
Well, we're
prohibit.
talking about solicitation and distribution of literature. That's just policy, not have anything to do with trespassing.
Where's the word trespassing at?
And mine under policy, paragraph B. Says solicitation, distribution of literature, or trespassing by non-employees is prohibited.
Oh, that was separate things though, it's distribution of literature. Is there a comma?
Yeah.
Trespassing?
Yeah, solicitation, comma, distribution of literature, comma, or trespassing. So basically, don't come looking for money, don't give us anything we don't want to read, and don't stand around the parking lot. That's the way I read it.
It's three individual things, it's not, they're not necessarily
You know, you don't
related.
want kids hanging around the building or whatever, you know,
Smoke and
right,
whatever
or,
they
But
do.
that has nothing to do with solicitation and distribution of
so you're,
literature.
you're caught up on the subject of the policy,
Well, isn't
right?
that the most important part?
Right, and that's what I'm just clarifying, And we can add the word trespassing.
I don't wanna add it, I wanna remove it.
Okay, then let's remove it.
So you wanna let people trespass?
Yeah, you want them to stand around and gawk and
Was there a separate,
The word
What you're talking
trespassing.
about, Mark.
If we don't want people to trespass,
loitering, yeah,
it needs to be covered someplace else, not under distribution of literature.
yeah.
My question would be distribution of literature. Obviously, we're in a public sector. You are going to have those that are politicians that are gonna be wanting to distribute.
You cannot distribute political
no,
here.
So you can't.
Well, that's
do-
what this
you-
policy says.
Right. Yeah, they have a
Well,
policy.
that's
saying
probably,
can't.
I would say that's state statute, isn't it, that you can't distribute literature? Because you would basically be,
I believe it refers to polling places and literature being distributed when this is being utilized as a polling place, but I don't know what it is as far as, for the rest or the remainder of the year. In the past, no, we don't want any of that going on here.
yeah, I mean, we don't want candidates putting up stuff on the bulletin board.
Right, right.
You can't wear a campaign button on your shirt.
On the roadway.
I did that once when I was a green board member, and I was told pretty quickly, hey, get that off of there, buddy. I was reprimanded. Yes, sir.
Well deserved.
What? Boy, we have a lot of respect for this morning.
I don't have any.
I think it's
I think
fine the
that,
way it is.
yeah,
I do too.
and we can add to the subject line trespassing, because I just quickly looked at our, what's in this manual, and I don't think there says anything about trespassing anywhere else.
Well, then you're gonna have to add it up under number one, the purpose, which is kind of the definition. Because the
Mhm.
purpose is to define solicitation and distribution of literature. There's nothing about trespassing there.
Right.
Now, if your plan is to strike this, then you definitely need to have a trespassing policy. Unfortunately, as a department head, I've found reason to trespass one individuals leaving my department.
Don't follow the horn saying, vote for me either, you know.
So we'll just add trespassing, that'd be the easiest thing to add to the subject and to the purpose.
I'm not sure I agree. I mean, to me, if you're gonna have trespassing, maybe have, like Eric is saying, maybe we need a separate ordinance to cover, or policy to cover that, define exactly what it is.
I
Because
think
this is a,
That would be my
Trespassing.
proposal.
what is trespassing?
I
Yeah.
think there's a definition by law for what trespassing is.
We can
But this is a public building, it's open to the public,
That's what I was just gonna
Every
say, I
day.
don't know how you can.
We have,
except when the building is locked up. But even when the building is locked up, people are out here on the property, they're trespassing. The neighbors walk their dogs and they pee and crap all over the place here. The soccer people are out here playing soccer and they park over there, they drive on the grass, I mean,
We've given the soccer people permission, if you
I
wanna
understand.
call the cops on the neighbors' dogs,
I understand that, but what about the guys that come in there with their cars in off hours and go wheelies around the building?
This is your employee manual though. So,
Yeah.
like,
Right,
You're not trying, this has nothing to do with anyone external to employees. So if you have an issue with employees trespassing, I mean, it's an interesting concept.
he says that,
Well, at that point, former employee,
No, they're not employees. I mean, they're just a public. At that point, you can treat them like you would anybody else. I mean, so you can, I think I would agree to ditch the trespassing word completely, because the way it's worded is it's more like it's trying to help employees not be inundated with pressure to buy Tupperware and Avon and all that crap. I mean, that's, when I read it, that's what I'm seeing. It's trying to just keep employees not pressured to be constantly hitting each other up. And, you know, not that you can't sell Avon and stuff like that, but just,
Keep them focused on their job.
yeah. We actually have a very similar policy at my workplace where you're allowed to put your literature on a certain table, but you're not allowed to like beat everybody over the head with it.
We don't even allow that, and I don't think we should. I think, because the other part of this, Tim, is talking about candidates with their literature. And, you know, I mean, you can have a situation where, let's say that an elected official tries to intimidate or coerce everybody that works for that person to vote for them.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's not a condition of employment.
Yeah, I think if you struck the word trespassing, you'd make it a little bit more cohesive.
Well, that was my suggestion in the first place.
Okay, fine.
We'll go with it.
Gee, yes.
And I'll take back
The word is out now.
suggestion of the trespass policy, because as mentioned, by the time their employment's been terminated, there's no reason to have a trespass policy. They're no longer an employee.
Okay, let's move on to page 124, alcohol and drug use. On my page, in the second paragraph under policy, and the first sentence at the end, it talks about being under the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs. Illegal drugs is circled. I don't know why it's circled on mine, but there's a circle around that word.
Well, I guess probably because we don't want them under the influence of legal drugs either. Now that marijuana is legal, we don't want somebody coming into the workplace.
So we're gonna remove the word illegal then.
I mean, if you say any kind of drug, I mean, is that an aspirin, you know?
Well, when you read through this policy, that's what it does say that. It talks about people that are using a prescription drugs or they fit to do their job.
That's what's
You
wrong.
know, you can be under the influence of prescription drugs
Right.
that will render you not able to do your job.
But if you say any prescription drug, that could be, you know, something for headache.
It specifically says the legal use of prescribed drugs is permitted on the job only if it does not impair an employee's ability to perform the essential functions of the job effectively and in a safe manner that does not endanger other individuals in the workplace.
Right. So you don't want somebody on the highway department driving a snowplow when they are on a.
They can anyway.
Yeah.
No, they can't anyways.
But, you know, Chris,
You're
if
talking
he's
about-
out here,
Narcotics or whatnot, you don't want them running the snowplow on
right.
oxy or
But
something.
the question is, do we want the word illegal there or not?
I would venture to say that you wouldn't want any employee within this facility working for Illinois County.
Drug pills, I'd be in that shape here.
I guess the
Which
question,
way that would be.
the
I'd
question
rather be
for
on
our
that bill.
insurance expert would be, who determines whether you're impaired or not?
It all starts here.
That's the responsibility of the department head. It
Yeah.
says so right in the policy.
I think you'd wanna leave
Well-
it there. Because then it goes into describing what is legal and what is not.
So we're saying legally they can with marijuana then, if you say legal.
If it doesn't impair an employee's ability to perform an essential function or impair others, I mean, and there's other certain policies, like the sheriff's department has, you know, no tolerance, or highway has no tolerance, or, you know, I mean, that's up to you guys. There could be people that are using legal marijuana for specific medical reasons, like rheumatoid arthritis. That's up to you, but
If I remember quite a bit of that, that was, even with the marijuana, whether it's for medicinal or personal use, you spotted them on the grounds using it was correct, a violation of policy. But if they're at home doing this, so even if it's the moment before they leave the door, there's really nothing that we can do to change that.
Well, it's, you've got the employer reserves the right, you can have reasonable suspicion. So just like alcohol is a legal drug, you can't be drinking, if you show up for work drunk, it doesn't matter that it was legal. You can't be impaired on the job. So I think you can leave that as alcohol or illegal drugs. You could also, I circled it as well prior to that, but I was looking at other policies and it doesn't matter. I think what matters more is that you go on to say that the legal use of prescribed drugs is permitted only if it does not impair your ability to perform the essential functions of the job. And then there's what's really good about this policy is it says reasonable suspicion, and it gives you opportunities as an employer to determine if somebody is under the influence of legal or illegal. It doesn't matter. You're not discriminating on that. So I don't know if it really matters. I've seen sample policies where they have the exact same wording that you do, where it says alcohol and illegal drugs. Because you can have people that are on cold medicine and knocks them out.
So if they're determined to be under the influence, you just send them home?
Well, in this policy, they give some, and I'm only going through it because you guys don't have yours.
Yeah.
Some
This is
reasonable
the drug
suspicion,
title.
any appearances here, it says employees who refuse testing when reasonable suspicion is present will be subject to discipline up to and including termination. So violations of this policy will lead to disciplinary action up to and including immediate termination of employee or of employment, or if the incident is self-reported, required participation in a substance abuse rehabilitation or treatment program, and may also have legal consequences. So, it goes on to state that.
Okay, but say somebody just got prescribed some new medicine and they don't realize it's gonna hit them at 9:30 in the morning, then the department just has the option to say, hey, you're out of it today, why don't you go
Right.
home?
Right.
Yeah, your procedure gives you that that ability.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you seem a bit fuzzy today.
Yeah, and it's, covered under a procedure.
He's that way all the time.
So,
Okay, further down, what Tim just touched on a minute ago, in the fourth paragraph there, it says reasonable suspicion includes. I have written in here, but is not limited to, with a colon. So we must have talked about this at some point, but if you don't have but is not limited to, I guess we want to add that in.
That's fine.
Okay? Then the following page, 125, I don't have anything there, I guess that's okay, although I guess the question is if it agrees with the union contracts, although if it doesn't, they supersede it. But the main part, I suppose, is down item E about the drug testing. Are we all okay with that? One 126, there's nothing there. 127, telephone usage. And my question about telephone usage is, does this also apply to county board members?
What's it say about the telephone usage?
It says, Cellular telephone use for business purposes is never permitted while operating a car or other moving vehicle. Then it goes on to talk about when you're on the job or whatever, that you're not to use your personal cell phone use should be limited to lunch hours and breaks. Also, employees should turn off ringtones to limit disruptions to other employees. I guess my question about the whole policy, does that apply to county board members?
Well, my question is, sometimes I will call a department head on their cell phone, because that's the number I have, and it's about official business,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay?
We're talking about personal business.
Well, the way it's worded is kinda is personal cell phone use, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to allow hands-free use in a vehicle? Because the way this policy reads, that would not be permitted.
I was gonna suggest, this is already covered by
That's only in
state law.
county-owned vehicles.
Well, it's actually going further than state law. It's saying that you are not supposed to be on your phone in your vehicle. It's not even giving a hands-free option. It's saying in the event you have to receive a call, you should pull over.
Right, well, I'm understanding that this is being more restrictive,
Right,
which is
right.
okay as far as law is concerned.
Right.
The only vehicles that we're talking about outside of the highway department is the EMA vehicle, is that correct?
Well, you got your health department workers all,
Those are not county-owned vehicles.
They're all personal.
but by paying mileage, is that,
If they get in an accident, does work cover them?
Well,
Give
the
me an
question is,
example that
are they
one
on
board
law?
member using their personal phone.
Yeah.
I know
Right
with
next to you.
our insurance, if
How
an
many times have we
employee
sat here in
is
the meeting
in
and
their
your
own
phone starts
vehicle doing company business, they're covered by our insurance.
I mean, there's not the only one, but
So is that how this policy reads?
Yeah. I think what I'm saying is your
Accessible
policy
in
is
there.
more restrictive than state law.
Why?
Do you want it to be that
I
way?
don't. I think the
Do you
policy
think it's
says to
realistic
turn it on.
to say,
Silent,
don't be
or
hands-free?
whatever it says.
I couldn't live that way.
I mean, I'll answer that question right now, no, because
Well, there's quite a
We're
few
quite on this
meetings.
I'm sitting
that
out
board
here on the
meetings
road
that
on my way
say-
to work and I'm talking
Yeah,
about
turn
county
off
business.
Yeah.
But the way the policy reads now, you couldn't use that.
Yeah.
So I think,
this policy was probably written before hands-free use became,
right.
the way it is, so we can certainly add that in if we want to.
So I guess, what would be the wording that would get us in line with the state?
I think if you could either, say cellular telephone use must comply with the state requirement for hands-free, something along those lines. And then you could leave that language in that says, in the event you are making a call for safety, we recommend you do X, Y, or Z. I'm just thinking that realistically, probably no one's following this policy.
Now, again, I mean, this is the policy for county-owned vehicles. I don't know where the question of when you're paying somebody mileage, how that applies.
Well, but even,
When you're driving from your home over here to a county board meeting, you're being paid mileage.
It's true.
And so you're gonna say that you're gonna govern the use of your cell phone while you're driving here or driving back home?
There's no way to police that.
I understand that, but I mean,
Unless
that's,
there's an accident.
that's what you're saying.
well,
And if there's an accident, they're covered.
but,
No, I know they're covered, but they're using their phone against policy.
Right, so.
That's the,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, to go back to what John is talking about right now is, how does this cover for county board members? And in the instance of county board members, if you were on a business call handling your personal business and got in a car accident, the county's not gonna be
right.
held liable for that, or even if you weren't on your cell phone in any way, shape, or form, it would be your vehicle's insurance that would cover that, not the county's insurance.
But he's being paid mileage while he's driving to come here for a meeting.
I think if we put it in line with the state law, then that probably,
I think that would be my recommendation. Right now, I don't think this is realistic.
You mean, if I drive over here for a meeting, I can't use my phone at all?
That's what your policy right now is saying.
Serious?
so would you like to change that?
So we could change it to say cellular telephone use for business purposes must comply with state requirements for hands-free.
Okay, what if
And then
it's
strike
for
everything else.
social purposes?
It says business purposes.
I understand that, but if, let's say I'm coming over here for the board meeting this morning, and I wanna call up my friend to go play golf this afternoon.
That's your problem.
You do want your county employees in county vehicles to be hands-free.
Well,
Do
but
you
his
want to go
question-
further and have your county employees in county vehicles not use the phone at all?
We're not employees, are we?
Yes, we are.
So like at the highway
You
department.
get a
you have
W-2
to-
reform every year. But the question is,
I know what's happening.
Don't they need, to- but I mean,
There's a lot of times, yeah, we need to get a hold of them.
yeah. So this policy is not gonna work at the highway department, as written. It needs to say, you must comply with the state law.
Right, so you need to have hands free.
So we could strike everything, I would say, and just use it, leave it as must comply with state requirements.
We
Yeah.
do.
Can I go along with?
Well, and here's what my catch is. So in the instance where we're talking about county vehicles, yeah, you can have a more restrictive policy. But in the event, let's say I've got a conference that's coming up and I'm gonna be traveling to Springfield. Because I am traveling, even though I'm in my own personal vehicle going down to Springfield, because I'm on business, the ETSB's insurance comes into play. So if I hit a school bus, whether distracted or otherwise, it's going to be the ETSB's insurance that's also going to be coming into the party because I was on a business trip. And even some of the health department, for example, they're going to follow this policy. They use their personal vehicles while on the clock to go to business. So we'll pick on environmental services, for example. They have to go to different persons' homes for XYZ business. They're still on the clock and not in a county vehicle.
What about animal control, where they use their own vehicles, don't they?
Yeah.
And they have to use their own cell phones, they don't have.
Hate to open a can of worms, but
No, the animals don't use any vehicles.
Go home.
I think you'd be fine by just leaving it must comply with state requirements.
yeah, I think that would be the best thing rather than restricting it.
I guess the only the only question is if we say that, should we also publish or include what the state requirements are? So that people know.
State requirements are probably lengthier than what we want to put in there.
I wouldn't suggest it because at any time that could get modified and then you'd have to be back modifying yours.
Well, how else are you gonna be current if you don't tell people what they are? In some way, shape, or form.
Well,
I think Jim Devine would go, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
if we put in there the exact wording of the law and tomorrow they change the law, then we have to change it again.
That's no problem.
But how many times do you want to change it?
Oh, this whole book should be changed whenever necessary. We're finding a lot of things in here. This book is 7 years old. We're finding a lot of things in here that need to be changed.
By
That's
keeping
why
it,
we've spent quite a bit of time over the past several months on this. And I think it's been time well spent, but we're obviously finding a lot of things that either the laws have changed or other circumstances have changed where we need to make corrections or changes here. That's the reason we're doing this.
how thick would that be if we, every time we reference the law, we put the law in there?
I don't think you want to stick traffic law in your policy and procedure manual. I understand exactly where you're going.
The policy is we're gonna follow the state law. We're not writing the state law.
Be a good job for you. Right.
What, do you nominate me for a position?
Vice chair.
And you can report back to this committee on Tuesday, so.
Okay, so where are we at now? We're taking everything out of
We're
the,
at striking that paragraph except for cellular telephone use for business purposes must comply with state requirements.
okay. I guess it doesn't really answer my original question, but that's all right. My original question was, does this policy apply to county board members?
Are you employees of the county?
No,
Or
we're
are you elected officials?
We're not employees.
Elected officials are employees because they get paid. Otherwise, you're gonna say Brian's not an employee of the county. And I believe she is.
Well, let's ask this question. I don't know if you're qualified to answer
Yeah,
this.
more of
Or
herself to be
liability
an
standpoint.
employee of the county.
Oh, yeah, she wants the paycheck. I'm sure.
Trying to be.
I don't make as much
As
as I want
a
the check.
relative, I better not take it away from her either.
County board members are
I get shot.
employees of the county.
The same way as an employee.
So if they want to
And
apply, then they need to specifically.
whether they're
cite
employees of the
board
county
members
or
and
not,
elected officials within the county.
With it
Probably.
being stated the way we're stating it, we should be following the state law.
Right, regardless.
So
It doesn't really, the question doesn't really matter if you're putting on there following state law, because you should follow it regardless if you're an employee or not.
Right.
We had a quick side conversation over here. If this is something that you want to apply to county board members or other elected officials, you could just specifically cite it in there.
well,
It already says at the beginning that they're exempt, all elected officials are exempt.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah, that's at the beginning of the policy,
Mm-hmm.
so
We're
I
exempt
say
from the
no.
policy?
It doesn't affect county board members ever in this policy, right? Since all elected officials are exempt.
that would be.
That is your answer.
Yeah,
We're exempt.
I'm just asking the question.
Right. and
but you
now
should
have
still
your
follow the
answer.
state recommendation.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's go on to page 128, time records.
Gee, I don't-
Let's see, third paragraph.
Do we get overtime?
On mine here in the third paragraph under policy, it says each employee will notate their starting time on their timesheet. Timesheet is in parentheses, it's got a question mark after it and a line drawn through it.
It does.
I don't know what that means or what it's all about, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, how do they report their time?
We don't have-
Employees report whatever they report to their department head or supervisor. The department head or supervisor, then turns in, their department timesheets to Amanda for payroll.
Okay.
Some are more detailed than others. But basically what we receive is just, here's the name, here's what they worked for regular, blah, 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 blah. As far as time in and out,
How they
that's at
collect
a
that
department
stuff.
head level.
Does that hold true department to department?
Yeah, that's,
Each
I mean,
one.
I don't know how highway checks what time they clock in and out, or
Gotta
how
be
the
clocked.
sheriff does it, I don't know, but speaking for my office, I gotta be here at 8:30, be here at 8:30, get to leave at 4:30, really before 30. So,
I mean, if you wanna get.
and I only
real
have
nit-
2, so.
If you wanna get real nitpicky about it, there are time clocks that you can have on your computer that you log into when you get there and you log out when you go to lunch and,
Mhm.
yeah. But I think the department heads,
So what it should be is on here, if you, what my suggestion would be, each employee will follow their department standards for starting and ending time.
cause the department head's going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, like Joel said, they have a time clock. So I don't know how 911 does it.
We have an
Disney?
exception sheet, so I have a dedicated schedule that goes out, that's required to come out before the beginning of each month with a month for them to review and approve. Then I have exceptions, so if they are going beyond their normal day, then they are to fill out this sheet and put in the extra additional hours. So if they're working overtime that day and they're getting paid for that, then they need to put that in there, regardless of what's in the schedule. And then it's up to me to verify those numbers and compare it to the set schedule. Same goes for vacation, personal time, etc. So I have a documented way to prove that, number one, with the schedule, number two, with whatever exceptions I do need to make sure that I'm paying them for.
Okay, so we're gonna say each employee will follow their department standards in recording their starting times
Mm-hmm.
immediately before starting the work schedule and immediately following completing the work schedule.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then further on down, under responsibility, it says under item C, county board office. Do we want to leave that there, or do we want to change it to the county board executive assistant?
Executive assistant, because she doesn't, we don't have a county board office. Finance / animal control / IT / county board. I think that'll all fit on the door.
No,
It's a big door.
just
It is a
put,
big door.
just put
Okay.
it on John's office, county office.
Page 129, I don't have anything there, so my question is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're currently using, and then the mileage rate is what we go by, we change it every year, so.
Page 130. I have a question about the subject on that page. Mine says the use of Iroquois County board-owned vehicles. The county board does not own any vehicles. Should be the word board removed out of there so that we talk about Iroquois County-owned vehicles, because that's what the rest of it talks about. I
Sounds
don't
good.
know how the word board got in there, but it doesn't belong.
We can take it out.
Page 131. My question was, and I know we've talked about this before. I'm still not, don't know if it's completely clear what we're doing, but under vacation time, it says after 1 year through 7 years, you get 10 working days. Then it says beginning year 8 through 14 years, you get 15 working days.
I would
Say that again.
Vacation time, it says after 1 year through 7 years, you get 10 working days. Then it says beginning year 8 through 14 years, you get 15 working days.
That policy's been updated.
Hmm?
That policy has been updated, that's an old policy. It was revised on August 8th of 2017 to read after first anniversary date, 10 working days each year. After 8th anniversary date, 15 working days each year. And after 15th anniversary, 20 working days each year.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
And then I do want to point out that there is another policy that's in between the use of county-owned vehicles and the vacation, which is the use of the county board-owned EMA vehicles. It's number 1061.A. And it was established when Eric got the EMA vehicle.
I don't have that one.
Okay. Maybe I'll
Would you
have
mind
that in the
emailing
book.
me that, or whatever, cause I don't have that one.
Okay, yeah, I can.
Thank you.
And we should get an up-to-date printout then on the vacation time.
Can do that.
Yeah, that I have.
Okay.
Could I make a suggestion to that policy? Rather than call them working days, you list them in the amount of hours. Everybody's paycheck is in hours. I think it's a clarity thing. So 10 working days is generally accepted as 80 hours.
But for, ASME employees, it's 70 hours.
But this is specific to only Iroquois County employees. Ask me, and it already has a organized labor union should refer to their bargaining agreement.
Right, I know, I guess, I thought it was just referring to like employees, some employees work 8 hours, some work 7, so days.
Some don't work at all.
On election day, they work more.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying, I feel like days work better for most,
And then any specific hours is covered under union contract.
right?
I'm not arguing it one way or the other. I'm just raising a suggestion.
If the working days is working the way it is, it ain't broke, why change it? I guess that seems to be working okay, so. Okay, I guess we're okay there. Page 132. There's two places where we're talking about the county board office under responsibility number A and down under procedure. We have not only the county board office, but we also have under procedure, the paragraphs are identified incorrectly.
Yeah, I can change that.
They should be A and B and not B and C. We have that in a couple other places. So
Yeah, I've changed it when I caught it or when somebody has told me about it, so.
Okay.
Under section 3 in responsibility, line B, item 2, you have make employees aware of this policy. Is that specifically necessary?
Why not?
My expectation is that the entire policy and procedure manual is going to be required to make sure all employees are aware of all of the policies within it.
Are new employees given a policy and procedure manual? Or
They, at the time, they're directed to inquire about a specific, they know we have one, and they're directed to inquire with their department head, because to give every employee this book is gonna be tedious, but, I mean,
I make my employees read it,
you make an initial,
make yourself aware of this, make them read it, and
Mhm.
specifically, make sure you use your vacation time when you're supposed to use it.
Yeah.
And things like that, just so they aren't surprised if they get 4 weeks, or more than 4 weeks accumulated and lose it. So.
And I guess to Eric's point, that the reason for having it in there just might be for additional emphasis to avoid misunderstandings with the vacation time, because I think that is an issue that has come up in the past where there have been some employees that either accumulated more vacation time than they should have, and we've had to deal with that. Some have lost vacation time because of that. I mean, it's a case of making sure everybody clearly understands the policy on vacation time. So I would probably be in favor of leaving it in there just for that reason alone, just for additional emphasis.
Right.
Okay, page 133. In the second paragraph. It says, in the last sentence of the second paragraph, the only exceptions to this has to do with weapons. The only exceptions to this policy are police officers, security guards, or other persons who have been given written consent by the county board to carry a weapon on the property. My question is, has the county board ever given written consent to anybody to carry a weapon anywhere on our property?
What is the state law on public buildings? Is it, I mean, there's signs up, but is it?
That was at the request of a union employee to put the no gun sign up.
Who?
I mean, even under concealed
Yeah.
carry policy, because this is a tax-supported entity, you cannot bring a weapon into this building.
That's not what this policy says.
If you had written.
Anywhere on this property goes beyond the building. It's right out here in the
So
parking
that
lot.
means they can't have it in their car.
No, state law says that if, like, so if they come to this building, it's gotta be locked in their vehicle. So like when you come to work, if you have a gun, you have a right to carry a gun, but you can't have it in this building. You can have it in their locked vehicle, so technically it's on the property, but.
It's concealed carry law, right?
Right.
Yeah, concealed carry law.
At one point in time, there was discussion on whether or not the animal control warden should be able to have a gun and carry the gun. And I believe the county board denied him the right to do that. That was before concealed carry was a law or whatever. But there was discussion in the past of an employee that is not a police officer that would have had to have gotten consent from the county board to be able to carry a gun. And they denied him that opportunity. So I don't know if there's law written somewhere that allows animal control wardens to carry guns.
There is.
There might
Yeah.
be.
It's in the state statute.
So that, and the county board denied that ability, so that's probably why something like that is in there.
I guess my
But
issue.
my point is that this policy says anywhere on county property.
My issue is.
It could be over here on the county farm.
Guns, that's where the crazies go, is where there are no guns.
I know what you're saying,
You know,
This policy also talks about knives or any other items that can be used to assault somebody, not just guns.
yeah, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can kill somebody with an ink pen, so, you know, how
Yeah.
far do you go?
Charlie.
He just drives you crazy.
I'm asking a question. It says,
an assault against your
it talks about on county property. It doesn't talk about in the county building.
Right.
Right.
Do we want it to say on county property?
I think there again, if anything, we want it to follow state law, which at this point with concealed carry allows them to have it in their vehicle.
If you go all the way down to the bottom, it does say that employees are required to provide copies of their licenses before storing firearms in their locked car on county parking lot.
Yeah, because we gotta
I
have a
was just
FOIA
gonna
card
say
to be
that,
able to
because
get
that's what we talked about before,
You have to
right?
have a license,
Like
you
Tim
have to
said,
have a
yeah.
concealed carry license to have that weapon with you, period. Without that license,
No, that's not true. You don't have to have concealed carry to have a weapon in your vehicle. It has to be cased and not be loaded. In case that a FOID card is still legal.
let's carry.
Well, and then if you talk to some people, they'll say any law restricting guns at all is unconstitutional, so.
So they can say whatever they want, it's still the law, whether you like it or not.
Which law?
True.
I mean, there you're talking federal law versus state law, which trumps it,
Don't say true.
which supersedes which.
And
I
also,
can
this
use-
policy, you're addressing all weapons, not just guns. If you were addressing guns, it'd be easy, you could just say, please refer to state law.
Right, but it's any.
Right, right. But, again, not to be, problematic, but you probably couldn't cut a birthday cake here. Right? You'd have a knife blade bigger than
That's
4
why we
inches.
play softball, it's,
Right.
weapons is a broad.
Carry a baseball bat or a softball bat.
You can use anything.
Well, if you were licensed in some of the martial arts, your body parts can be
Exactly.
Yeah.
These hands.
You're not that strong, John, you're strong, but you're not.
No, I'm not talking about myself,
Well, I think you are.
how you do it.
So I guess where does that leave us?
Really? On the property or in here?
I'd say in the building, that's just my,
I really don't wanna have the sheriff searching everybody's vehicle every time they pull in.
let,
Well,
let's,
and that gets into
let's be
the
realistic,
reasonable
this policy, I would say in the building, because if you've got somebody that's going, like, say, I'm going hunting after I get off work with the group of guys. So you're gonna tell me and I'm going over to Stockton to do it, so you're gonna tell me I gotta come here, I can't have, if I drive my personal vehicle, I can't have my shotgun in my truck. I'm gonna have to drive all the way back home to Thawville to get my shotgun to go. And if I'm following the state law and it's locked up correctly and correct in my vehicle, then that should be the end of that's just my personal opinion.
Well, who's gonna
Don't
take
get me
the time
wrong.
out to look in everybody's car for a gun?
And this policy doesn't require you to do that. You can leave this policy as is, maybe, drop, maybe define less broadly property into building. But it does not require the county to search vehicles. In fact, it goes on under the responsibility section. It says that the employees are responsible for following this. And if they don't follow it and somebody finds out, then these escalations take place. So this policy is good in that it says we don't want weapons here. And then it gives you an opportunity as an employee to employer without the legal issues to say, you can't do this here, right? Then you can always escalate it to criminal activities. So you can leave it. It doesn't make life worse for you to have this policy.
Why don't we take the word property out and replace it with buildings?
Right.
Any place in the policy that it says property, we'll take that out and put county buildings. Because that's what we're doing anyway, and I think the policy should be reflective of what we're doing, unless what we're doing needs to be changed. Okay. Moving on to page 134. That's a continuation of what we were just talking about. So I guess other than the county property being changed to buildings, everything on that page is okay. 135, whistleblowing. Don't whistle while you're at work. Is our policy on whistleblowing okay? Nobody has any comments about it, so I guess it must be okay. We got caught with it once, I think. But we didn't follow the policy. We followed the policy, but we were still dinged for it. So maybe it doesn't hold any water. 136 is a continuation of that. The only question I have is the same thing I had a little bit before about, where you said about not publishing the whole state law, but here under responsibility, under procedure, excuse me. Under B it says, in A both it says following the problem resolution process. Is it necessary to repeat what the problem resolution process is? That's covered under separate policy.
I don't think so, because then you'd have to stay out a separate union. resolution policies and,
So if I'm a new employee,
Whatnot.
then somebody asks that question, you can answer that for me. Okay.
Just another job.
direct you to the right resource. I mean, they all have the resources. They get a copy of their contracts or this manuals in every office, so.
I'm just asking questions. Page 137, workers' compensations. Is that okay? I didn't find anything there that needed to be changed. I think it's all in line with the state law and our policy, so. Page 138 is a continuation of that.
So we need to change some of this to county clerk.
Yeah.
I don't know that we administer and coordinate all procedures relating to workers' comp, but we do a lot. On C, it should be forward to the county clerk.
That's under responsibility,
Uh-huh.
okay?
Then on D, instead of county board office, it should be county clerk.
Under A should be executive assistant, or is that yours too?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fine, because we do most of it anyway, if it says county clerk there.
I just do the audit and pay the bill. Leave all the hard work to Bruce.
Okay, well, let's change all three of them to county clerk. If it isn't the county clerk, she'll tell them. Right,
So then under procedure, on C, it needs to say the county clerk.
also under procedure, on item B, it starts out the supervisor / supervisor.
Yeah,
What in the world is that?
department head.
It says the same thing. It says the same thing someplace else, but not, I think that's the only place where it's there. So it should be department head supervisor, is that correct? Okay. And then under C, is it the county board office initiating the required forms
No,
or the
that
county
needs to be
clerk?
county clerk.
County clerk, okay. I think that's all I had on that page.
On E, then you need to take out a period.
Got it. I didn't write
What are we doing under E?
There's 2 periods.
Well, oh my goodness, that means we have to
You
decide.
didn't catch that?
Actually,
you
it
didn't.
doesn't mean that, it's, da.
To be.
Took me a minute to figure that one out myself. Okay, page 139. Second paragraph under policy. Work areas should say buildings, I guess, based on what we just decided a minute ago on
Maybe
consumer.
near the end of the book, he's really,
Well,
Right.
not necessarily, because work areas could include, say, for the highway, if they're out on, working in the middle of the road. You don't want them horse playing out there either.
You know, back to the den one.
I mean, that's
Can
the
we go
property,
back?
this is work area, specific work areas.
So-
I think you want to leave that in there.
What does it actually say?
Employees are expected to refrain from fighting, quote-unquote, horseplay, or other conduct that may be dangerous to others. Firearms, weapons, and other dangerous or hazardous devices or substances are prohibited from Iroquois County work areas. And John had stated, should we make work areas buildings. I think work areas and property are two separate things, because like if you're highway and you're installing a stop sign or whatever, you don't want A to hit B with stop sign. So, you know.
Oh, that's my job.
Dangerous
That's what you get
thing,
paid to do.
That's what I get paid.
dangerous thing can be a crowbar or a hammer.
I have a question, John. Back to the gun policy. It just made me think when concealed carry, we can't have any guns in the building. What if someone that doesn't care and comes in with a gun and starts shooting people up? Is there anybody allowed here to carry a gun, and, you know, for protection, to protect us?
I think that would be a conversation you'd want to have in executive session.
Well, it does, the policy does allow us to give permission to someone. So I guess if someone in the building wanted to carry, I would be open to it.
Seriously, with the way,
That's in court right now.
huh?
I'd be happy to take that.
Just asking.
But I'm just saying, with things the way they are today,
And that's why I brought up before,
I
you
mean,
know,
we are a
where do
county
they
building.
hit? They hit the buildings that have no guns allowed.
Right, and we are a county, and
And-
people
and-
do get mad,
And while we don't want
not to give anybody ideas.
our customers to bring guns and weapons in, I don't think it's a bad idea to allow, if someone
Security
wants
force.
to have a gun. I mean, and it would be somebody that would have to want to be registered, and the only ones that would necessarily know about it would be John and their department head.
I mean, our churches are doing this in this area.
I guess the only thing
That's true.
They are.
is if it's not known who has it, somebody sees somebody has one, then that can be an issue.
But it'd be someone that's here all the time.
Well, I mean, you already
We
have
got a law
policies
enforcement
started in there.
agency that.
I'm talking about being here in the
Well,
It would
building.
need to be
We
more
got a law
specific.
enforcement division of county government.
Right.
They ought to be able to
And-
bring an officer to,
I would also suggest you
Over
probably
this.
bring the sheriff in, that particular policy.
yeah.
Right. So
Because
that
the
they know
sheriff's
who might have a weapon if they have to come in.
They know who, but would you want to include some additional safety measures, like our police officers are required to take a 40-hour gun course?
Well, if they've got concealed carry, they have to go through a course.
They do have to go through a course, but do you want to provide any additional education on top of that? I'm just looking in the interest of safety and how far down the rabbit hole do you really
Right,
want to
and
go?
as I'm sitting here, there could be people coming in this building with guns on them that we don't know because there's no metal detector at this
Right.
building. So the courthouse, it would be easy to keep a gun out of there,
Right.
or easier to keep a
Out there.
gun out of there.
Well, we're not
Here,
gonna go through your purse to find your gun.
well, no, and I'm just saying that there could be people that already have a gun in their purse that don't care and carrying it.
We don't know what their disposition
Or-
is.
I just,
Right,
I brought
exactly.
this up for
So-
safety reasons for the people that
Yeah,
work here.
I mean,
And-
absolutely. I
Yeah,
get what you're
there are
saying.
people that will carry a gun in here, not make a big deal of it, and a lot of times because they forget.
Right, and you won't even
Right.
know.
But it is the safety of the employees and just having this discussion
Right,
where
but I'm just
it's
saying, I don't have
possible
my
that an
employees don't.
employee may be carrying a weapon could be enough to deter somebody from coming in.
I think before you go to that route, though, it would be something to look into with metal detectors.
Who's gonna be
Because
a
I'm
metal
just thinking,
detector?
I'm just thinking
I
insurance
don't think we
wise.
should set up metal detectors in this
I
building.
don't know.
If
I
you
don't
set up
have
a
my
metal
employees.
detector,
Your
miles
coins
price,
have to
and
go
have
in
somebody
everything.
sitting there, so you're already gonna be employing somebody,
You'd have to have somebody at every entrance.
at minimum,
Well,
your
unless you
two
only have
public
one
entrances, and then lock your employee entrances.
I mean, you don't have to let anybody know you're carrying, that we have one person at least here carrying. I mean, you don't have to let anybody know, do you?
Well,
And
Legally-
we don't.
Legally, as a public entity, you can't bend the law.
Right.
So the state law says you're prohibited from having a gun in this building.
Mhm.
You didn't say that, that's just state law.
Mhm.
As you pointed out, you don't have a metal detector. There are folks who have concealed carry that may not quite be following that. I don't think
So
I
we're
would
not
write a
allowed to
policy
protect
that
ourselves?
says we're going to not follow the state law.
Right.
I wouldn't do that.
So.
How about one that says we're gonna follow the Constitution, which allows for
okay.
sharing?
Right.
Wonderful path to go down.
So Iroquois County's gonna be sovereign citizens.
Yes, yes. I bet you we would have a lot of people go along with that.
In the news a lot.
We have had instances in this building when people have been in the building with weapons.
Oh, wonderful.
And we have it almost every day. Anytime an officer comes to 911 over here to take care of any business he has, he probably still has his weapon with him.
But officers, I would assume, would be exempt from that.
No.
Oh.
Our policy says only if the county board gave them written consent. We have never given anybody written consent.
Well, can't
That
we
was
have
the
a
point
police
I was
officer
making.
here all the time?
Our policy says they have to have written consent.
Then I
Either
guess
at the-
we write written consent and then give it to the sheriff that says any deputy
Yeah,
is allowed.
is assigned, that is assigned to the county board.
There's people, there's officers that are not deputies that come in there. too.
Well, any officer, any
One assigned,
law,
Sign.
yeah. You
We
know,
have had incidents in this building where we've had to have the Watsika police come in. They have a weapon with them when they come in.
Right, so the policy does accept
Yeah.
police officers, security guards, or other persons that have.
Yeah.
Well, then
So
what about a security?
It does exempt
okay.
a few.
I didn't quite read it that way, but that's all
Then
right.
why not hire a security guard?
Because it says, before that, it
That's
says
Chris's
that
job.
the county board has to give them written consent.
After
I'm
it,
just
it says
trying
it has to
To
give
get
written
some
consent.
safety in this.
Or
These are
other
people,
persons
you know?
who have been given written
I guess
consent by
it-
the county board.
At this point, maybe the best thing would just to remain silent as to whether or not on, the state law is there.
If you're gonna give somebody in this building a gun, you're opening yourself to some
Right.
liability concerns too.
But we
But
won't,
if you're gonna have
if
metal
somebody,
detectors here, you're introducing a big cost
yeah,
to the
we're not
county.
gonna do that. So I guess we just won't search the employees if they would happen to have something on them.
Could I propose that you speak with Jim Devine as well as our soon-to-be sheriff tomorrow on opinions as to how to accomplish your goals in this?
I think it's a valid, issue. And it's an important and serious one.
I agree with you. I've felt that this has been a very large issue for a long time, but with the way that our state laws are written, you would have to have, it would have to be a law enforcement officer or perhaps security guard, depending on how the law is written. And that's why I'm saying,
Not our.
you're getting into a very large can of worms, and I think the people that are gonna really be able to answer your questions on this is gonna be your sheriff and Jim Devine.
We can go back to how we were doing it with COVID and put it on a lockdown situation and put in a buzzer system.
Sounds great.
Animal control. Jill.
Just deputize
Are
every
we just gonna
employee.
get back in?
Well,
Are you gonna add it to my door?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we,
Department in our
why don't we move on?
Security guard.
Anybody that's got suggestions, give it to me by next Wednesday, and we can ask at judicial
Yeah,
what their opinions are.
Put in a buzzer system, that would be probably the cheapest.
What's the buzzer system?
Well, like at my daycare,
Mine told me
there's a
once
video
that-
on it, on the door, you buzz in.
Okay, are we all done with page 139?
Yes, we're moving on.
Okay, let's go to page 140.
Board members have.
Page 140 is the last page in the book. The continuation of page 139.
Seriously, you told me that was.
On page 140, under responsibility, item D,
Deputy, county deputy.
wait a minute, someplace else.
Just check.
Oh, my goodness. I can get distracted.
Threatening a public official.
Well, he was threatening. He wanted me to come outside and fight. I wouldn't do it.
But they're pretty new policies that they've already passed, like in 19.
I wouldn't have done it if he was smaller than me either.
Well, anyway, under responsibility, item D, it says, it is the responsibility of the department head or supervisor and or police authorities to investigate all allegations of workplace and violence. So my question was, who's doing the investigating? It says
Well,
the
if
same
it's
thing
violence,
under
it's
C
a
and
police
D.
matter.
I mean,
Well, it's the responsibility of the department head or supervisor and or police authorities to investigate. So if I were to slap Lacey, then she might wanna go to John. But
John
if
might
it's,
slap her back.
right. But I mean, I think it's up to the department head or supervisor to make the decision, is this something I'm gonna that I handle in-house, or is this something that the police need to get involved in?
So you're saying it's fine the way it is?
Yeah, because it says and or.
Do we wanna leave it that way? I'm only asking questions.
I mean, I think it's fine.
I just wanna know who's doing the investigation.
I mean, I pretty much threaten Amanda and Lacey, they can't tell anybody that I do that, so. That's what I got the server room for.
You know, this is being recorded, right?
Right.
She's the one who pressed the button.
It's a joke.
Well, that's right, she can edit too, can't she?
Yeah.
You got Lacey so shook up, she left the room.
No, I think that's the baby.
And she said no. Covering herself in her bed.
Okay, on that same page,
Pretty tough. She'll
under,
come back.
under procedure, every paragraph is
Yeah, I
mismarked. They all need to be changed. So, well, that's the only other thing I can see.
So then there are two more policies
I have 3.
behind this. Oh, 3?
Well, I have,
1067 is a personal day policy and 1068 is a social media policy.
right, and then I have the 1069, the change of job position that was effective 10/13.
Ooh, I did not get that
Okay, those policies I don't have in
Yeah,
my
they're pretty
book,
new.
but they're newer, so they should be correct, is that right or not?
Yeah, the job change is October of 2020. The social media policy is May of 2019.
And I may have them someplace, but I don't have them in this book, mainly because I don't have a 3-hole punch, I guess. I don't know, it's book-
Excuses,
We have
excuses.
to introduce a bill.
where's your book?
A
Home.
freehold contract.
You have those in your book?
Chairman of the
I
Policy
probably
and
do
Procedure
somewhere.
Committee.
All right. I think the only other question I have about all this is that I think there were some matters that Tim was gonna look into on some previous things. Do you have anything for us on any of that, Tim?
You're correct.
And I don't remember all of them right offhand. I think Jill's got some.
I have it written down.
Just say it all seems good.
Right on top of that, Chairman.
All seems good?
Or Jill, are there still things I owe you?
Yeah, and I can get with you on that,
Okay.
because there's not very many, there's only a couple. And I meant to actually bring my list, and I didn't. Yeah, I'll get with you on those
Okay.
couple that I still need verification on. It wasn't very many, and it's basically gonna be according to what the law says.
Okay.
Okay, I don't believe I have any appointments that I know about at the moment to be making, so we can move on to correspondence. Here's one here that I got that I haven't figured out yet, I haven't had time to look into it, but the Federal Aviation Agency sent me a postcard. It said that they conducted an aeronautical study concerning a project in Buckingham, Illinois. I never heard of Buckingham,
Oh,
Illinois.
that's southwest of Kankakee.
It's
Pretty,
4 miles west of Worcester.
yeah,
Is it?
little small place.
Okay, well, that helps. It says the study was completed and the FAA issued a determination to access complete details. Use the search archives link on the internet. And it gives you more
It
information.
would probably be a private runway. More than likely, someone wants to put private runway in their land, and the FAA has to come in and
Is that
okay
close
it.
enough to our county that we should look into this, do you think, or not?
It's far enough out that it would be where Buckingham's at, would probably be more in line with Ford County.
Ford
Unless there wouldn't be
no.
anything
Yeah.
on an approach pattern that even if it's a full-size airport, that would affect maybe Mills Grove, but doubtful.
What is it?
Okay.
If they crashed it,
Elks Grove, I mean, 3,400 and 0. I mean, you're talking
Buckingham would
4
be,
miles,
Buckingham
Be 4 miles north.
2 miles outside.
Buckingham,
Chris Fisher's on 200, or 200 east.
well, it's on, Hersher is on 12,000 west in Kankakee County. Buckingham is 16,000 west.
Right, which is what I'm trying to do is
And-
an equivalent to Iroquois County, it's 200 east. So we have 2 miles, and then we have another 2 miles.
And it's on,
And
it's on 115 basically, so
you're almost 3 miles, almost 4. Yeah.
That's could be a
I think it would be enough that we would need to at least be concerned with it, especially with the wind farm that's out there.
Yeah, but if they've made their determination, they probably already studied it. The factor that would be the FAA would look at. It might be just a fertilizer type. Somebody's gonna have a sprayer or something, or even help factors.
So this-
I did. Sometimes I
Newsletter challenge.
Sometimes Amanda lets me use her. Not always.
We missed it. 27. Well, it is.
yeah.
I was gonna go too.
Oh, I bet you were.
Well, you were gonna go because it says buffet breakfast and buffet lunch.
Anywhere
Count me
for
in.
free lunch, you know.
Good one, Joe.
Joel, are you interested in the state of Illinois fleet card?
No,
You don't want that.
It's outdated too.
No, October.
September 14.
No, there's another one in October.
Last month, you all recall, we passed a resolution opposing the U.S. Fish and Wildlife activities up north. And we've gotten some feedback a little bit, so there's one thing from a guy over in Schererville, Indiana. One of the Friends of the Kankakee.
Yes, so it'd be a friend there right now.
This is the quarterly news member letter from Mike Seiko. This is the annual report from our friends down in Danville. And the lady that ran off with all the money somehow got her job back. Well, she did. Hopefully you get your job back when you run off with all the money.
But you see, they did that as a kid in school. I still do it.
Printing.
Yeah.
And they got a deal here now down there, those people in Danville, where they want you to have your family portrait. They got a fundraiser in November if you want your family portrait done. That's it. We don't have any claims this morning.
None?
Only committee on the whole county board that runs their affairs properly, no claims.
You telling me I should just deny all claims that come before me in my committees?
He
Well,
has,
that's up to you.
He has one, but it got turned in late, so it'll come to my.
Joel and I
Can you do that one? Yeah, it came in after that.
Do we have any old business before the committee today? Do we have any new business? There was some discussion at the last county board meeting about a resolution opposing the mask mandates of the Illinois Department of Public Health and the governor. Haven't heard any more about it since then, so not anything that we want to undertake at the moment. So, that's all I would know for new business. If there's no other new business, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Oh, yeah, I want to discuss this leaving from Washington.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'll click on
Meeting
yours.
is adjourned.
Oh, my goodness.
You wanna just hold me up, you didn't want me to leave.